It is one of the world's most iconic New Year's celebrations, of course, along with the one we have in New York. This, the fireworks over the Sydney Harbour Bridge in Australia. 7 tons of fireworks as they ring in 2013, and did it before just about anybody else. The celebrations all over the globe as we approach midnight here in New York. Welcome back to our special here on RFL 2013, a look ahead. And as we look beyond the fiscal cliff, 2013 could be a watershed moment in our nation's politics, as issues that we put off dealing with for years come back with a vengeance. Everything from gun control to immigration to Social Security now on the table. But will anything actually get resolved, or are we doomed to endure more fiscal cliffs and more stalemates? It kind of depends on who's got the juice in D.C. Now, assuming his political capital hasn't been spent on getting over the cliff, President Obama has until the 2014 midterm elections to push his agenda forward. Midterm elections, by the way, and I'll be the first to give you this update, only 673 days away. But really, who's counting? And keep in mind, it's not actually that long that the president has clout, because for about 6 months before the midterms, everybody's going to be focused on that and not on getting anything done. So the president isn't the only one facing a test of leadership. John Boehner's speakership now hangs by a thread, depending on who you talk to. And with the new Congress coming in, Harry Reid, Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi could all emerge as the new power brokers. So let me bring back Dominic and TJ. And who's got the most juice in Washington right now? Is it still President Obama's game coming off the election, or is it another year where Congress seems to rival the president with the amount of power?
I don't know about Congress ever rivaling a president. The president always has the most power, no matter what their political stripes may be. They have the bully pulpit of being president. They have executive orders in which ways they can get things done.
But the president certainly hasn't been able to get his policies through over the last couple of years, and that's where Congress has rubbed up against him.
Well, I think basically it was set up that way, where the Congress could, challenge a president. But I don't think it was set up. I don't think the framers put it this way, where the president, no matter what he or she did in the future, the Congress was going to disagree.
I think it would be stunning to see all of these. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And this, to me, the notion of there being another Leader Boehner, Minority Pelosi, is insanity. And I think the American people should demand at least a change in leadership in the House and Senate. They should make some noise about that. And the media should start raising that notion.
Do you think we'll actually get one? Because, January 3rd, this week, Speaker Boehner faces his re-election as Speaker. Do you think it's going to be John Boehner as the Speaker of the House, or will we see Eric Cantor or somebody else?
Do I think what I think should be is
what you think will be?
I think it depends on how he parlays what happens in the next 24 hours, because there are those people that are saying that and this talk about not parsing words. Can you parse actions or a moment?
Let's say yes.
Okay. Let's for this to move you along, TJ.
Yes.
They're talking about this thing falling off the cliff. Taxes going up, and by virtue of the timing of it, where if by midnight tonight we go over the cliff, taxes will go up. Well, tomorrow, if they then vote, well, then the Republicans can claim that they cut taxes by virtue of where the hands are on the clock. Okay, so anyway, it depends on how he parlays all this stuff. I don't think he should be. I think it should be brand new, fresh blood leading both houses of Congress.
Can you show us again how the clock works?
The hands on the clock. Well, it depends on what. You also have digital.
And with a good coup, you never know what's happening until it's over and done with. So assume that Speaker Boehner will be around, but you never know what's lurking in the winds.
If Eric Cantor would only spend a little time in Albany, he would know how to get his hands on the gavel. All right, let's move on to some specific issues. And since Newtown, the Newtown school massacre, the shooting deaths of 2 firefighters in Webster, New York, just in the last few weeks has pushed gun control back to the top of the national agenda and onto the president's agenda. According to the White House, here are the things the president is planning to push through the new Congress. He's going to try to close the gun show loophole, reinstate the ban on assault weapons and high-capacity ammo clips. He also wants to tighten background checks. Sounds a lot like Mayor Bloomberg and the things that he's been pushing for. TJ, let me start with you. Do you think anything comes from this list? Do you think any items from that list actually come to fruition?
I hope so. I hope the. Go ahead.
No, but again,
What do I think?
Yes.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Because I think in this particular climate, it's impossible for, you would like to think, it's impossible for anybody to argue against the notion of at least limiting the capacity of these clips or the rapidity of which these guns can repeat. The background checks at a gun show. I mean, those things just make sense. It doesn't impede, it doesn't say you can't own the gun. It just means you have to go through, you have to take a driving test. So, look, and I know there's NRA people that are going to be able to, mince what I'm saying there, but that's how I feel. I think it's how a lot of people feel, and that's what they're going to expect from their representatives and the president.
We get gun control?
Something will be done. I don't know exactly what. I believe something will happen on those high ammunition clips, as TJ just mentioned. I believe there may be some type of assault weapons ban. The question always is, going back to the 94 law, how many loopholes will there be to the ban? So I think Newtown demands that something is done. I just don't know exactly what.
Go ahead.
No.
I also want to see, though, I want to see more about the mental health issues, and I want to see harder.
But when you say you want to see about the mental health issue,
yeah,
and I know that issue quite well,
yeah.
I mean, how can we talk about mental health issue unless we as a country are not willing to put the money to fund the services?
That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about everything being on the table and everything being part of the conversation, including a true, honest-to-goodness crackdown on gangs, on the illegal guns in the streets. Right now, all the people in the only part of the conversation so far is about legal gun owners and people trying to get their guns legally. I want to see a crackdown, and I want to see more stop and frisk, and I want to hear less from the ACLU when we take down a crack house where they know there's a bunch of Uzis. That's incumbent upon the left to shut the heck up.
Okay, but what if the police make a mistake and they take down your house?
You know what? That's not going to happen.
But it does happen.
I don't live there.
It does
I don't live
happen.
there, and that's for that reason.
See, you were doing good with me until you mentioned stop and frisk.
No, but I know, and you know what? And I know that was good with you until I stopped and frisk.
Until you mentioned stop and frisk,
Dominic,
we were having a kumbaya moment.
I know.
And as soon as you mentioned that,
because when it comes to gun control,
TJ, you're not up on the wall.
Because when it comes
police are not putting you up on the wall.
Because when it comes to gun control, the left feels they have no ground to give. The left feels they have to give no ground because they think that on gun control, on things like stop and frisk and the ACLU shutting the heck up when they go to take down a crack house. The left feels they don't have to give up any ground.
I will add this, because you know how I feel about stop and frisk, but New York, 20-year low in murders and violent crimes. Chicago had a record year this year.
I don't know.
Not much of a difference besides stop and frisk.
Let me just say this: having covered, this is going to sound wacky, but having covered the NYPD for more than 20 years, the crime rate is low. We give the NYPD credit, but you do know that you would think you would say, well, listen, when you have a body, that's how you know that the crime rate is low. No, it's also based on how the medical examiner classifies a person dying. Sometimes they take someone and they say, no, this was not a murder, it's this.
Fair enough.
And so that lowers the numbers as well. That's all I'm saying.
All right, we're going to switch issues now. 2012 was the year when pot became legal in 2 states, Washington and Colorado. Federal government has said they will not interfere, and marijuana advocates are planning a major push, in 2013 to try to expand the boundaries of legal weed. Guys, is this the year that marijuana legalization or medical marijuana become more available, become more widespread, become more common?
More available, but it's not going to be, you're not going to have like the Colorado and the Washington state where it's legal. The Obama administration, certainly this administration, the first black administration, is not going to sit back and watch as marijuana becomes law and common among the people. It's just not going to happen legally.
Especially because this president admitted to it and is known to have been,
the last 3 presidents have admitted to it.
I know, but I'm saying, but this guy is the guy, wrote in his book about hanging in the back of the car. He had a name for his crew. That. Anyway, I think, look, I've had a problem ever since I lived in California with the whole silliness of medical marijuana, because dispensaries popped up everywhere, even in my non-crack house neighborhood. And it was distressing because I didn't see anybody with so much as a limp walk into one of these places. No far-sighted people, no people receiving treatment, nothing like that. Nobody who needed their appetite enhanced. No, I saw a bunch of stoners, a bunch of skateboards parked out back. Okay, that's who goes to the. So that being said, no, and I really hope not. As a recovered alcoholic, I do not. I don't accept the notion that marijuana is not a gateway drug. Drugs were never my issue, but I know way too many people who went for marijuana. Crack was down the road. So not many people went straight to crack.
Amen on that.
Everybody
I
started out
was
pot.
raised on that same tradition that marijuana is indeed a gateway
is.
drug.
It is.
If we had more time, I would debate you both on that very point. You brought up crack houses like 4 or 5 times.
I know.
Did you live in a really bad neighborhood?
You can take the drunk out of the boy, but you can't take the, I don't know, whatever that means. I never did that stuff.
I'll throw you the lifeline. At
Thanks
this
so
point.
much.
I'll pull you
Yes,
back.
thank you.
We're going to take a quick break at this point. When we come back, who is going to take Michael Bloomberg's place as mayor of New York City? I nominate TJ. The candidates are already lining up. We'll look ahead to the biggest races in our region coming in 2013 right after this.